Sveiki and welcome back to your Irregular Latvian lesson. Today, let's talk about numbers. Always handy to know in any language. They help you to tell time, count money, weigh potatoes. So today we're going to be looking at numbers 1 to 10, how to say them in Latvian, and also what kind of things Latvians associate with these numbers. So here we go. Viens. Viens means one, but it is also an adjective to say alone. Viens for men and viena for women. The Latvian band Instrumenti has a song called Pilnīgi viens, which means completely alone. But another Latvian band called Labēlīgais tips, or the benevolent type, have a song where they use the expression viens kā pirksts. Viens kā pirksts, which means alone like a finger. The singer talks about the fact that all of his relatives are abroad and that he finds himself in this country alone like a finger. I'd say that this expression has a connotation of you being alone and sticking out also, and it doesn't really look good for you. So another time when I've heard this expression used was about our Prime Minister at the time in 2016, who was said to be viens kā pirksts in the European Parliament, because the party that he was representing was not represented in the Parliament, making him, therefore, viens kā pirksts. Let's move on. Divi, or two. So the first thing that comes to mind is the worst grade that you can get in Latvian schools. Divi. I mean, you can also get viens, but then you have to really piss off the teacher personally. And it also has become kind of an expression associated with failure. Sēdies, divi, which means sit down. Two. What else we associate with two? Dvuļa. It is beer, but 2-liter bottle of beer that you can buy for really cheap in Latvia. And usually the beer is also a little bit stronger than your regular beer that you could get in stores in like the normally sized bottles. So dvuļas used to make quite a regular appearance in our general culture. Nobody really likes to admit that they drink dvuļas, but most of people have tried them at least at some point. Festivals. But unfortunately, this amazing type of beer that you could buy for super cheap has been forbidden for health and safety reasons. But if you go to some really remote places in the Latvian countryside, you might still come across some. Okay, let's move on to less alcoholic things. Three. Very important number in Latvian mythology and folklore. 3 is the number of stars that Milda, our freedom monument, is holding in her hands in the center of Riga, which represent the 3 historic regions of Latvia, Vidzeme, Kurzeme and Latgale. But there's also the saying trīs lietas labas lietas, which is translated as 3 things are good things. And this is something what Latvians say when they attempt something for the 3rd time. So you have failed once, failed twice, and then you say, well, trīs lietas labas lietas, and so you try it a 3rd time. I guess we have failed to do things the 1st and the 2nd time often enough that this has become a thing. And to go even further, if you fail the 3rd time, don't worry, because the saying continues with ceturtā no sirds, or the 4th one from the heart. And so we segue into Četri, or 4. So the first thing that comes to mind is Četri balti krekli, or 4 white shirts. It was originally a song, I believe, but the name Četri balti krekli instantly brings to mind a great Latvian film from 1967 about music and censorship in the Soviet Union. This film is part of the Latvian canon of films, like the films that we are most proud of, so I'm pretty sure it has been translated in English. So, if you can, try to get a copy, watch it, it's really cool. If you go to Riga, you will also see that there's a club/bar called Četri balti krekli. My parents told me that at the time, people who would come to Riga from all over Latvia would go to this place. And apparently this is also the place where a lot of Latvian families have been started. This may be explained by the fact that its slogan, which my dad contributed to, was music for mature people. And then later, Labēlīgais tips, the band who sung about viens kā pirksts, also made an album called Music for Drunk People, inspired by the motto of Četri balti krekli. Today, unfortunately, the club has lost some of its former glory. I just read in the news about 2 weeks ago that it has been sold for 10,000 euros, which is not a lot for a club, but its new owner says that it will reopen its doors in March this year, so I wish her all the success, and if you're in Riga in March, go check it out. Then we have pieci. In the Soviet times, this was the best mark that you could get in school, but since then we have upgraded to 10, high five. It also exists in Latvian, dod pieci. It means give 5 instead of high five, but you can use that. But also a banknote of 5 units of money, euros or lats at the time. In English, fiver, in Latvian, piecītis. And apparently it was inspired by a Latvian band in the United States in the 60s called Čikāgas piecīši, or the Fivers of Chicago, who were really active in Chicago at the time doing stand-up and musical performances, and they are now credited as having made the first stereo recording in Latvian ever. They were and continue to be wildly popular in Latvia still, so much so that they have also inspired other musical creations. For example, something called The Song of the Cop, which is a song from the point of view of a Latvian police officer who is saying in this song that he likes the piecīši, both those from Chicago and also the local ones, which means that he likes bribes, if you were wondering. Seši. Seši is associated with the folk children's song Seši, mazi, bundzinieki, or Six Little Drummermen. It's a great song. It tells the story of 6 little drummermen who are riding on their horses to this little girl's house. Once they arrive at her house, all 6 of them jump from the horses and present her with a ring, an engagement ring. And then the little girl says, "Yo, I'm underage. How about no?" And that's how the song ends. I know, amazing! Latvian children's songs are really great. They teach children the right lessons. If you're interested in hearing more about that, we could go over them sometime. For example, there's also one about a badger who is making beer and who has enslaved a toad to help him carry water. So let me know. Septiņi. Septiņi, or 7, associated with 7th heaven, which in Latvian is septītās debesis, literally the 7th sky. Like in English, this means absolute happiness. To say that you are in septītajās debesīs means that you are either super in love or extremely happy, or that you are in a temporary holding cell in isolation with the police of the state of Latvia. Yeah, so there's like one temporary holding facility in Latvia at the moment, and it is located in the 7th story of the building of the National Police. That's why it's called septītās debesis. So if you do something bad in Latvia, like, pee on our national independence statue, you might go there. It's not going to be a nice visit because the name is misleading, as I'm sure that many of the politicians who have been there can confirm. Up next is astoņi. Astoņi, or 8. So the thing that any Latvian will associate with astoņi is astoņi kustoņi. This is another part of Latvian children's culture. It's a poem by one of our great poets, Ojārs Vācietis. To understand what kustoņi means, you have to know the word kustēties, which is to move. It's a verb that means to move. So kustoņi I would best translate as alive movie thingies. But while the poem on its own is quite short, there is a cartoon version of it in the children's film Kabata, or Pocket, which tells the story of all the things that live inside the pocket of the writer. And so the animated version of Astoņi kustoņi tells the story of a young lady pig who finds 8 eggs, hatches them, gets 8 piglets, and then tries to sell them to the circus. It's quite a good cartoon, I'll link it in the description. Deviņi. Deviņi, a very important and magical number in Latvian folklore. For example, every Latvian knows that guy who can speak for 9 mute people. But what is even more reoccurring is the word trejdeviņi, which in one word means 3 times 9. From the word trīs and deviņi, so many stories, for example, start with the use of the word trejdeviņi. Whereas in English you would say once upon a time, in Latvian you might see once, behind 3 times 9 mountains and 3 times 9 rivers, there was a house. Or in Latvian folk songs, for example, you get a girl saying that she has 3 times 9 admirers, but that she doesn't trust them because they always tell her 3 times 9 lies. So then, if you don't like somebody and that you would like to tell them off, you can also say Ka tevi divi deviņi. Ka tevi divi deviņi. So here you see divi and deviņi. So the direct translation would be I wish that you 2-9, which I know doesn't really mean much, but it's quite a stark saying, which pretty much means God damn you, that you can use now. And so finally we have Desmit. Surprisingly, not a lot of associations come to mind when you ask Latvians, what do you associate with Desmit? I guess our people don't really care for 10 as a significant symbol. If you Google it, one of the things that comes up is Desmit baušļi, or the 10 Commandments, which of course now is part of Latvian culture as we were forcefully Christianized in the 13th century, but other things that were most associated with 10 include these. 10 is the highest grade that you can get in school, and also if you want to praise someone, you can say Desmit. And also Desmit is the hour at night, 10 p.m, when alcohol stops being sold in Latvia, which might not seem very significant to you unless you go to Lithuania thinking that you can buy it also there with the same terms, except that sucks to be you, because in Lithuania they stop selling alcohol after 8 p.m, so... Okay, so now you know the Latvian numbers. I hope that you found this lesson useful and fun. And in order to help you learn it, my grandmother, when I was little, always used to tell me this one Latvian poem, which is a folk poem. So if you like this video and you like to learn this really cool poem, see you in the next one. Thank you for my Patreons. As you see, the lighting conditions today scream for your support, so if you would like to support me, the link is in the description. You can learn how to do that. Thank you for watching, happy learning, and I'll see you soon, maybe.